Hello guys and welcome to Odds on Serie A Matchday 10. We have Daniele Fisichella
Ciao.
to analyze all the match day, and we have a derby in Torino. Ciao Dani.
Ciao, Edu. Very exciting. Match day 10 after the Champions League, after the European Games. Who can stop Napoli? That's the question. But, Lazio, Roma doing really well. Atalanta as well holding their own. And Juventus more and more in crisis.
Yeah, Napoli, Bologna, poor Bologna for this match day. So let's analyze all the games with Dani, with everyone. Remember, leave your comments, and if you enjoy our videos, don't forget and press the like and subscribe. Let's go on with the show. And the first game on Saturday, we have Empoli Monza, with Monza, Dani, taking the temperature to the category. 3 consecutive victories, 10 points. They beat Spezia in the last match day, and Empoli, it's time for them also to win, especially at home. They haven't won at home, 2 draws, 2 defeats. Still, the team from Tuscany are favorites for this game.
Don't understand why, but Monza, 3 wins in a row, 3 clean sheets in a row with the new manager, Raffaele Palladino, who's got as many wins in Serie A this year as Max Allegri. They look very fit. They look well put. It's true. They well put together in the pitch. We always knew they have quality, especially in midfield with Sensi, with Rovella. But now, he found the right formation, 3-4-3-5-2, especially with the wing backs. Carlos Augusto on the left-hand side, bombing forward. Really dangerous. Yeah, they look like a good side with a lot of experience as well. And they go to Empoli, who got a point at Torino, but they got battered by Torino. Torino should have won easily in the first half, and they're still been naive, Empoli. The last 3 goals they conceded all after the 89th minute, so they don't defend very well. They're not very good at closing the spaces, especially at the end of the games. Empoli, they are the kings of draws. They only lost 3 games so far, and last season, at the end of the season, they drew a lot of games, and that's how they got saved. Very difficult for them to keep clean sheet. This is a young team, only 2 clean sheets so far. And, the opposition of Empoli already in the first 9 games, they hit the post or the bar 6 times. So, quite lucky, although they got obviously a very good keeper in Vicario. I can see goals here at the Castellani, probably both to score, which pays quite well, but I'm going to go for an over. 2.5 goals, which pays 2.02.
All right, goals in the first game. We already have a comment about Juve. Ankur is saying Juventus should be banned from Oddspedia. You have to extend. I don't know why, because if you bet against Juventus, you will get a lot of money if you did it also in the Champions League, because they crumble again against Maccabi Haifa. Allegri is still there because Danny's been explaining the whole season that the contract is very difficult to be sacked for Allegri, because Juventus have to pay him a lot of money, and now they are playing in the derby, Derby della Mole, and Juventus, they have great numbers in this derby. Last victory for Torino was in 2015.
Yeah, last 5 derbies is 3 wins for Juve, 2 for Torino. These are heavily contested match, but normally Juventus are by far the favorite. Probably this is one of the most unbalanced derby in the history of Italy, but it comes in a point where Juventus are in a torrid form, and they've been to ritiro. That's the punishment that in Italy is given to players when basically they get locked down in the hotel, in the training camp for a few days, and they cannot see their families. I don't know how effective it is. The problem with Juventus is that the approach to games is wrong. Against Maccabi Haifa, they knew Maccabi Haifa were good in the wide areas. They knew they were very good at finding the goal from distances. Still, they couldn't close the space very well. There are also mistakes, positional mistakes from players. Luca Rugani, in occasion of the first goal, he's marking 2 men. So obviously, he has got no chance of getting the ball. Bonucci against Milan, Diaz goes past him, and Bonucci just stands still. It was really sad to see. Yes, that's the feeling I got for Juventus at the moment. It's sad, pity. You almost think that I poured them, and it's not a great feeling. They don't really give fear to any team. No wins so far for Juventus away. No wins in Serie A. they lost in Paris, they lost in Tel Aviv, and their attacking numbers are poor. They're 12 for shot in Serie A. Vlahovic is getting more and more nervous. He doesn't get the service, and now this derby against a very aggressive side, Torino. Torino plays good football. They should have won against Empoli. I think even if they had Destro, who plays for Empoli, who scored, I think they would have scored more goals. It's difficult for them without a proper big goal scorer. I know Sanabria is very good at linking up the play, but it's not quite there. But Torino at home, they're hard to beat. They are very aggressive, as I said. This is a very interesting stat. They are top for possession in the opposition half. So Torino press very high, recover the ball, and then they can look after it very, very well. I think they're going to give Juventus quite a scare. Look, it is difficult to go. I mean, the odds are great for Torino to win. Don't get me wrong. It is difficult, though, to fully back them because they got a problem in the scoring department. I think this could be a draw, okay? But I'm going to go for a both to score one. I'm going to be a little bit more cautious. 198. So you are open to any possible outcome. I think both to score is the most likely. 198.
Ankur said that he had a draw. Both teams to score in the Maccabi Haifa game. And of course, it was disappointing. We can check the head-to-head between these two teams. We saw it just 15 seconds ago. And in the last 5 years, 7 victories for Juventus, 3 draws. As Danny said, this is a very unbalanced derby. That's why be careful if you are going for Torino, because history tells you the other way. Corello is going for Torino to win. Of course, very difficult to trust this Juve when they are playing away. As Danny said, no victories for them yet this season away from their stadium. Problems for Juventus when we check the standings of Serie A. No, we are not used to see Juventus in the 8th spot right now with only 13 points. The last game we have on Saturday is Atalanta, Sassuolo, and also we are not used to see Atalanta second in the standings. They were this close to win away in Udine. They were leading 0-2. They conceded 2 goals, and this is strange, a team that only conceded 5. Danny, they are playing against Sassuolo. Usually we see many goals. Atalanta, Sassuolo meant goals in the last few seasons. This one, not really. So are you tempted to go for both teams to score or for an over here? Or
Not really. There could be the both team to score, maybe the both team to score in the second half. There is a stat that is amazing about Atalanta. They haven't conceded a single goal this season during the first halves. So in 9 games, 9 first half, clean sheet completely. This is a very different Atalanta, more cautious, more pragmatic, but it's also the first time they got 20 points after 9 games. So it's the best tally ever. Be careful with them. We said it at the beginning of the season. Not playing European football helps them a lot. It is a team that is rebuilding, but he got time to do it without having to play every 3 days. They got the best defense with Lazio, only 5 conceded. It's true they conceded 3 goals at home and 2 away, but they keep it really tight. They don't give opposition a lot of chances. And now it comes to Sassuolo, which I think also have some issues in the scoring department, mainly because they are without the main man, Berardi, also without the Frel. So always going to be difficult there. They lost against Inter. Inter had better chances than them. Sassuolo play well. They are 4th for shots on target in Serie A. They only scored 11, though, so I think there is an issue there. They got interesting youngsters up front. Lauriente, I think, could be the revelation this season. They got him from Lorient. He's 23 years old, really direct, pacey, skillful winger. I'm going to stick with Atalanta to keep it tight, especially in the first half. So I'm going to go with under 125 goals in the first half, which pays 180, which means if there is only 1 goal in the first half, you win half a stake, so 1-0 each way. 0-0 in the first half, you win the full stake. More than 1 goal in the first half, you lose.
We were seeing also the head-to-head between these two teams dominated completely by Atalanta, 7 victories in the last 10 games. And Danny is telling you very good stats to bet in this game. For instance, Abedi is going for second half with most goals.
Possibly.
Danny was telling us no goals conceded for Atalanta in the first half in all 9 games in Serie A so far. Atalanta second. Next game on Sunday, the early kickoff is Inter Salernitana, and football is a funny game, Danny. That's why we love it, because Inter poorest season in Serie A in the last 3-4 years. Then they go to Europe in a very tough group, and they are doing the job. They still have to beat Victoria Pilsen, but we enjoyed a lot the game against Barcelona. At least I did. They were this close also to win that game. At the end, they missed that crazy chance in the last minute, and they are playing at home against Salernitana. Salernitana, great first 9 games, actually, with 10 points in the middle of the table, and winning the games they have to win, like the last one against Verona.
Well, Inter did the job, and they did it really in style. I think at the Camp Nou, yes, they conceded 3, but they had many chances to score. And they are slowly finding again the team spirit, the cohesiveness, helping each other, making the extra runs. You can see some of the players have grown in the last few weeks. Barella is going back to his best. Lautaro is going back to his best. It's been a very strong team performance in the last 7 days. Remember, after the defeat against Roma, Inzaghi was really, really under pressure, and they responded. So yeah, they're almost there in the Champions League group, deservedly, I think. When it comes to the home form and the Serie A form, I think again is a question of the cohesiveness, working a little bit harder, trying a bit harder what they haven't done in the first few weeks, but also sometimes playing a little bit less aggressive football. Don't push the line too high, because sometimes the physical condition is not quite there. So Inter at the beginning, they were exposing themselves to the counter pressing, but I have to say, almost qualified in Europe without Lukaku, who's the main striker who they bought this summer, and without Brozovic, who's the best player in midfield. So credit where credit is due. The defense maybe could be a concern for Inter still. 14 goals conceded in Serie A, the same as Salernitana. There are still positional mistakes, especially from a couple of the center backs. When they leave the man behind, they don't mark him. They leave a bit of space. Something is not quite there for one of the best defenses in Italy. But they play Salernitana, which they beat last season 10-0 on aggregate, 5-0 at the Arechi, 5-0 at San Siro. But it is going to be a very much improved Salernitana. It is a much improved Salernitana in the personnel, players like Dia, Mazzocchi, Koulibaly. They're doing really, really well. They played well against Juventus when they did 2-2. Maybe should have lost at the beginning, but for the first 60 minutes, they were magnificent. 10 points in 9 games. Last season, they only have 4 at this stage. And away from home, they're good. 3 draws, 1 defeat. And there is a very interesting stat as well. They are 4th for possession half in the opposition, for possession in the opposition half. So they keep the ball better in the opposition half than Inter. Inter is more of a counter-attacking team of these two. Salernitana is very, very aggressive. Salernitana is going to be with a few absentees here, with Radovanovic, Lovato, Maggiore, Bohinen, Ribery. Always check the lineup. Look, I see somebody has already commented, anytime goal scorer Lautaro Martinez. Very well. That means you follow Italian football. That means you follow probably the show, because Lautaro Martinez is what we call a streaky striker. As soon as he starts scoring, he scores in 2 or 3 games in a row. He's always done it across his career. Well, he hadn't scored in 8 games before the Barcelona game. He scored. He gave an assist to Gosens. Last season against Salernitana, Lautaro Martinez scored 4 in both games. And I think these things count in the player's mind. So I'm going to go for Lautaro Martinez to score and over 2.5 goals. He put them together, 265. Lautaro Martinez, by the way, might also be on penalties if Çalhanoğlu doesn't take them, or if he is given a rest. So I think you got a good chance there.
Eric Garcia is still looking for Lautaro Martinez.
Yeah, he doesn't know where it is. That chest control, wow, it was gone. And also in the middle of the pitch, there was a time when he, with a movement, he sent Piqué and Garcia and I think Busquets to the dressing room.
Because Jexters is becoming very famous on Twitter, at least. Abel is going for Inter to score in both halves. Well, he's asking you, actually, Inter to score.
I don't know, because there might be a bit of fatigue, maybe, from the Champions League game in the first half, okay? It's a bit risky, that one.
Corello going for over 2.5 goals, and both Well, Inter need to win this one because they are 7th in the standings, 4 points away from Roma. So, with 4 defeats already this season in Serie A, they have to focus also in the Italian league and win this one. Next game, the most interesting one, in my opinion, for this match day, Danny. Lazio Udinese, great character from Udinese after being down 2-0. They got a draw against Atalanta, only 1 defeat this season. 19 goals scored by Udinese. Lazio 21 goals scored, 14 in the last 4. But when they go to Europe, they are in trouble. Lazio, actually, they have to fight to still get the qualification in the Europa League. Danny, both teams to score goals at the Olimpico. We should expect this?
Yes, of course. I mean, last season he finished 4-4 at the Olimpico. What a game. Yes, it's true. Lazio is having issues with the Euro. I think he's having issues playing every 3 days. Last season, as soon as they got knocked out of the Europa League, they improved much more in Serie A. I'm not sure how much Sarri likes to play the Europa League and to play the Thursday, Sunday schedule. He's always been critical of that. He doesn't make a lot of rotations. I think, yes, that's probably the main issue with Lazio. But when they play domestically, they've been magnificent. 4 clean sheets for the first time since 2015. They are the first side to win 3 games consecutively 4-0. Although against Fiorentina, I think 4-0 is too much for them. Fiorentina should deserve at least a goal. But when they play at home, Lazio, you almost guarantee they're going to score a couple of goals. 7 games this season, including the Cups competition, 18 goals scored. So that's more than 2 goals per game. The good news from Lazio is that it's not only Immobile scoring. Now the goals are popping up from other players. Zaccagni, of course, Milinkovic, Luis Alberto, Vecino. You got more sources of goals. Of course, they rely on Immobile. He plays, he starts every game, and he's been effective as always. Look, I think when people think about Lazio and Sarri, they think about Sarri ball. Well, it's not actually Sarri ball because they are very direct. They don't keep the possession in the opposition half very well. Actually, they are third for bottom for possession in the opposition half. So it's very much direct. They go through the middle, but they got players that are in great form. If you take Milinkovic-Savic, I think he's given already 7 assists this season. Look, if everyone in the Premier League is talking about De Bruyne and how good he is, well, what about Milinkovic-Savic? I think he's very, very close to his level. Udinese, the team of the moment, very fit, very athletic, strong. They attack with a lot of pace. They are unbeaten in 7, and this is a team that always scores late goals. They have recovered in Serie A this season 13 points from trailing position. This is top in the 5 Europe best league, and they've scored 13 goals in the second half of games. Again, they're top in Serie A. So you could expect also late goals with Udinese because of the physical condition as well. And also the way they are set up to attack. Won the last 3 away. All the 4 away games of Udinese this season have been over 2.5 goals and both to score. They won 3 and they lost at Milan 4-2. So it goes without saying, over 2.5 goals for sure. Probably is a safe bet. Over 2.75 goals, 197. I like it. So if there is only 3 goals, you win half a stake. Over 2.5 goals and both to score as well. Why not? That's my tip.
This is good, actually. Ojongola is going for both teams to score and over 2.5 goals. It pays well, seeing all the stats, Danny, that you've broken down for this game. For going for an over 3 goals is 2.2, for instance. And what a goal scored by Deulofeu from a free kick. We are not used to see Deulofeu scoring this kind of goal from set pieces, but is the confidence Udinese have, and many people here, they are trusting Udinese actually, and could be a good idea, Danny, thinking the tiredness of Lazio after
double chance or a double chance in the first half or in the second half, because Udinese scored a lot of late goals. Maybe double chance in the second half. Why not? Yeah, of course.
Why not? Abedi also going for Udinese to win the second half, for instance, due to all the stats that Danny is telling us. And next game also at 3 p.m. kickoff in Italy, Spezia Cremonese. This should be a relegation 6-pointer. Spezia, they've lost all the games away from home, but at home they've played all the poor teams in this Serie A, and they are doing the job. 2 victories, 2 draws. Cremonese, still no victories. That's why it looks tempting, this 2.6 around, Danny, for Spezia to win.
It is, because I think Spezia this year, they're going to win in the winnables at home and try to get saved, try to get to 35 points by doing that, because away they are awful. In fact, they only scored at home. They got 2 wins against Empoli, Sampdoria, 2 draws against Bologna and Sassuolo, and always scored. But they've been 5 games, the away games, without scoring away. I think they are numerically short as a team. They haven't been strengthened. They are bottom for shots on target, Spezia, only 16 in 9 games. And a lot depends, I think, on Daniele Verde, who's the most creative player. If he's in form, they can click, but it is a team that really struggled to find the net. Cremonese, no wins in 9. It happened the last time they were in Serie A, 95-96. They were relegated. Cremonese is a team that attacks, has a good style, likes to play from the back. It is set up to hurt as well teams, but also because of the lack of quality, of course, and the gap between Serie B and Serie A, they suffer a lot. Radu, the keeper of Cremonese, is the keeper who's made more saves in Serie A, 46, and he's been outstanding, but still, they got the worst defense of Serie A. So he made 46 saves, they conceded 19 goals. You can imagine the amount of chances they conceded. Last 2 away games, though, for Cremonese have been 2 draws. When they go away, they do score. They score in 4 out of 5 games so far away from home. They score against Inter away, against Atalanta away, against Fiorentina away. They score 2. So it could be a draw with goals, maybe. I tend to go for an Asian handicap 0 for Spezia, 182. This is a very cautious one. So obviously, if it's a draw, you get your money back. If Spezia wins, you win. I like the odds. I think Spezia, they are targeting these games. These are the games that they think they should be winning, and they're going to put more into it. But yeah, it is a difficulty. It could be also a big pass for you. But Asian handicap 0, 182.
I like this one as well. Danny, next game, Napoli, Bologna, the best team in Italy. They are saying even the best team in Europe. Exactly, 9 consecutive victories, scoring a lot of goals. Raspadori scoring beauties. What to say about this Napoli? Absolutely flying and hosting right now Bologna, one of the poorest teams in Serie A, Danny. So we should expect the run to continue for Napoli.
I think so, because Napoli are in that state of mind that they don't let anybody taking points out of them. Against Ajax, again, ferocious, but also very well drilled, very composed. The goal they scored, especially the first one, you look at Lozano goal, it's straight from the training pitch. Spalletti's been trying that kind of things all summer long. It is paying off. The team is absolutely conscious of how good they are, very, very confident. They score with 12 different players. When Spalletti puts somebody from the bench, they come and score. Like Simeone, even Oliveira, the left back they got from Getafe. So this high in confidence, and now a certain Osimhen is back, which is going to be a great news. They can rotate even more. Raspadori, Osimhen, Simeone. If things are desperate, Spalletti could play even with 3 up front, Simeone, Raspadori, and Osimhen, and have obviously the opportunity to stretch defenses and mix things up. So I think, yes, they are in great form. The morale is really, really high. I cannot see Napoli losing a game until we break for the World Cup. Obviously, there is the tricky trip to Liverpool, but I mean, apart from that, really, I think they're gonna be flying as they did last season. They started the season really, really well, so I'm not surprised. They're without Rachmani for this one. He's injured. He's gonna come back in January 2023. I'm expecting Hostigard to play, although Juan Jesus did well in the Champions League. They are top for shots on target, Napoli, extremely attacking. They are third for corners taken. Bologna are bottom for corners taken. So there is a difference on average of more than 3 corners taken per game. That's where I'm going with the bet, by the way. Bologna, they are a team in transition with Thiago Motta. He said he wants to change the style, he wants to change the tactics, play more attacking football. I don't think they are quite there yet. And actually, with this one, they might be missing Arnautovic. If they are without Arnautovic, they are completely toothless. Yes. And when it comes to managing the game, Bologna is the team that conceded more goals in second half, 10 goals. So if they take the lead, they cannot hang on to it. Already 3 away defeat, very passive against Juventus. They drew against Spezia. No clean sheet so far for Bologna in Serie A in 9 games. And as I said, maybe without the Taliman Asmatovic. Napoli win, doesn't pay very well, so put money on Napoli win, and then Asian handicap corners minus 2.5 for Napoli. Put them together 209 because, as I said, Napoli third for corners taken in Serie A, Bologna bottom.
Okay, mini ACCA, Napoli to score in both halves, Napoli to win both halves, options. Ankur is mentioning Kvaratskhelia, of course, what a player, but also El Choco Lozano. Corello is telling us anytime a scorer, he will be in the World Cup with Mexico and he's scoring. Also for Napoli. Well, we love Napoli, of course, and the other game we have on Sunday, Verona Milan. Verona sack Cioffi after 4 consecutive defeats. Verona absolutely in danger, and Milan, Dani, they are not especially good when they are traveling. 2 victories, 2 draws this season. When they win, they struggle as they did against Empoli, and they are coming from a painful defeat at home in the Champions League with that red card, probably undeserved in my opinion. So they have to keep the track in the Serie A after the victory against Juve.
Yeah, they have to, and I think against Chelsea is a pity because they didn't start the game too badly, but obviously the red card and the penalty ruined completely everything. It is a penalty on Mount, it's not a red card. I think it's excessive punishment, and then after that the game was gone. But I think Pioli in Serie A has got a team that can dominate most of the games, even if they're not exceptional as they were against Juventus. They can still beat them. The tactical change, switching to a 4-3-3, putting an extra midfield, whether it's Krunic in midfield or Pobega, it has worked, and they got players like Leao, like Brahim Diaz, that at the national level, at the league level, they are still the best, including also Teo Hernandez, who's now fully fit. You know, they've already beaten Juventus and Inter. They lost against Napoli. They didn't deserve to. I don't think they're going to have too much troubles to beat Verona. By the way, last season they went to Verona in a crucial game for the title race towards the end of the season and won. It is true they haven't scored a lot away, but maybe only need a couple of goals to beat this Verona, which, by the way, they sacked Cioffi. I don't think Cioffi has got a lot of responsibilities for the bad start of Verona. Remember, this is a team that has sold the 3 best players up front, Barak, Caprari, and Simeone in the summer. No wonder why they cannot score. Against Salernitana, they didn't deserve to lose. It was 1-1. Verdi hit the post. Verona has already hit the post 6 times this season, so they are the top unluckiest team with Roma and Sampdoria. Yes, they don't score much. They haven't kept a clean sheet, but it's a sensibly weaker team than last season. Second worst defense in Serie A. They conceded 10 goals, also them in second half of games. Again, it's a team that really struggled to hang on to leads or hang on to games. The last game at home against Udinese, they started well, and then they slipped away. A bit of chaos in the Verona camp because the new manager was announced was Diego Lopez, former Brescia and Cagliari manager. Then they couldn't agree a few details on the staff, so now is the youth team manager, Salvatore Bocchetti, being promoted to manage the first team. Is he going to be temporary? Is it going to be the final decision? You know, I think the first results will tell, but Verona are in a bit of a state. Again, I don't understand why they sacked Cioffi. He did well last season at Udinese as well. Milan win here. I'm going to go for Milan win. You can go Milan win, or want to be a bit more ambitious. Asian handicap minus 1,209. I mean, this is too good. These are the champions of Italy. Let's not forget who've been so good away from home last season. So if they only win by 1 goal, don't worry, you get your money back. If they win by more than a goal, you are winning 209.
Many managers sacked in Italy. Usually we see this. Actually, it's a turmoil, a hot country when it comes with managers and with presidents. But this season, as well, many managers sacked. I think even more than in the Bundesliga. That last season we had so many managers sacked. For instance, Sampdoria had a new manager, Stankovic. Sampdoria Roma is our next game, playing on Monday. And Sampdoria's debut was a draw against Bologna. Roma, Dani, they put an eye also in the Europa League. Mourinho played the best team against Betis. They got a draw. Still, they have to fight to get into the last 16 round because Ludogorets is ahead of them, but this is another story. The thing is that if they are going to be tired for this trip, last season they won 0-1, and Sampdoria, I still remember Sampdoria beating Roma at the Olimpico with Cassano and Pazzini long time ago, and denying the Scudetto for Roma.
Yeah, that's a long story. That 2010, yeah, that was the game that basically gave the Scudetto to Inter, but completely different outfield now. Sampdoria, no wins in 9 for the third time in history, and they got a new manager. I'm sure Stankovic, who was already on the bench against Bologna, is going to give them a boost. Is going to give them more energy. If you look at the way his Red Star Belgrade played, not only domestically but also in Europe, they were an attacking team and a team with a lot of anger, positive anger, if you like. The fact that he started the game at Bologna already with 2 up front, Gabbiadini and Caputo, and Juric behind, that tells you that there is a change there. Gianpaolo was playing such a negative formation as well, only 1 up front, trying to pack the midfield, and the team had no resilience at all. At home, so far this season, Sampdoria have been poor, only 1 clean sheet, that 0-0 against Juventus, which is by far the best game they played. Worse attack with only 5 goals scored. Well, of course, if you only play with 1 up front and players that are not really firing since a couple of years, what can you expect? Roma is a very good start to the season. Despite people being half happy, half unhappy, maybe they expected more. Everyone talking about Scudetto in the season. I never believed for a second Roma could have won the Scudetto. But they got 9 points, -4 on Napoli. Napoli are flying; they're only 4 points behind. And in the previous occasion when they had 19 points at the stage, they always finish in the top 3, which will be a great achievement for Roma. I think they will progress in the Europa League. They need 2 wins. It's not impossible to beat Ludogorets and Helsinki. I think if you don't beat them, then you deserve to go out. They are very unlucky with injuries, though, Roma. I mean, Paulo Dybala out until 2023. Wijnaldum out. Zaniolo had a few injuries. So, these are things that you unfortunately cannot foresee. Maybe with Dybala, okay, a player that has got a history of lot of game missed, there was a warning there. He comes with the strings attached, but the way he got injured, kicking a penalty and scoring a penalty, it's very, very, very unusual. They don't score enough, though, Roma. This is the team with the biggest difference between expected goals and goals, and their attackers are not quite firing. Abraham, only 2 goals. He has a score in 6 games. Against Betis, didn't have great chances. Belotti scored the first goal of his Roma career against Betis. Shomudorov, no goals. Of course, Abraham is not scoring. Pellegrini scoring much less than last season. Zaniolo is a little bit hit and miss. But they're going to score, I think. They're going to score against Sampdoria. It could be a tight one. Both to score, 194.
I'm very cautious with Roma. Corello is saying, me too, to be honest, I wouldn't trust Roma with these odds. And we have a name here that I mentioned before, Cassano, of course. Abedi is telling us that he was his favorite player. Cassano also playing for Roma and for Sampdoria, also playing for Real Madrid, as James is telling us. Apart from the part he played on the pitch, he was very famous also outside the pitch for his parties, for his chocolates. He was eating chocolates while he was coming back in the plane to Madrid. What a person, Il Talentino di Bari, Cassano.
Now he's the star of Bobo TV in Italy and YouTube and Twitch. I mean,
every time he opens the mouth, I think.
Yeah, he says something. He says he doesn't like anybody. Doesn't like Barella. He doesn't like Bastoni. He doesn't like Leao. He doesn't like Haaland. Doesn't like anybody. Anyway, okay.
Well, Cassano from Bari. Let's go nearby in the same region. Lecce.
Rivals.
Lecce. Fiorentina. We like going there on holidays, no, Danny?
Yes. Lovely place. Lovely place. Salento is a lovely place. Fantastic beaches, fantastic place, fantastic cities. Lecce, good team as well, I must say.
Good team, but they haven't won at home yet. 3 draws, 1 defeat, 2 points away from the relegation, and Fiore happier when they are playing in Europe than in Serie A, Danny.
Yeah, they won against Hearts. I mean, I'm not surprised. They won twice against Hearts, the weakest team in the side. Let's open a parenthesis about Scottish football. I think here in England, where I live, it's overvalued. We overestimate it. Maybe because it is talked in the same way as the Premier League. Obviously, the fixtures are on the same days. Is given the same attention for a question of being balanced. Sometimes people forget that there is a golfing class. Look at Rangers, look at Celtic, look at Hearts. I mean, yeah, there is a golfing class between English football, Italian football, Scottish football, etc. So I'm not surprised Fiorentina have won this one and finally have scored. I was really surprised they didn't score against Lazio despite creating a lot of chances. They only got 9 points in 9 games. This is the worst start of the season in 25 years for Fiorentina. But they do get into the right position. They do produce shots. They do have chances. They just can't convert them. And hopefully, with this win against Stars, things might have changed. A little bit more of confidence for Jovic, Kwame, Kone, etc. But yeah, they are difficult. This is a difficult season for Fiorentina. Also, coming after Conference League games so far for Fiorentina, 2 defeats, 2 draws, 1 win. That was the 2-0 against Verona. So they're not negotiating the double games each week very, very well, I must say. And Lecce have scored more goals than Fiorentina. They are a counter-attacking team, but very effective because of the players that are really quick. Banda, Cisse, especially, but also of Strefezza, who is a very skillful player. In fact, Lecce is the team that keeps the ball less in the opposition half, whereas Fiorentina are the second. But Lecce are more effective. When they attack, they can hurt you more. They did well against Roma, I must say, Lecce. They were with 10 men for a red card. I don't think it was a red card, but they held their own. No clean sheet so far for Lecce, so there is a chance for Fiorentina, I think, there to find their scoring form again. But Lecce against the top teams scored against Inter, scored against Napoli, scored against Roma. Never discard them, really. I like them. Monza is by far the best team of the 3 newly promoted, but I think Lecce are not inferior to teams that are fighting for relegation, like Spezia, for example. I changed this one. Initially, I went for 1x. Then I thought could be risky because if things start clicking at Fiorentina, you never know. They might get 3 points, both to score. 196.
Well, some people were going also for both teams to score. Corello is telling us, and actually 7 out of the 9 games played by Lecce, so both teams to score. Only Inter have the same stats in Serie A, and if you were going for double chance for Lecce is 1.8. That Abedi is telling us also that Lecce won't lose. Well, if you think so, we have 1.8. Why not? Well, Danny, this is it. We have Coppa Italia, if I'm not mistaken, next week. But Serie A is back the following weekend. Of course, Danny, before, let's check your safe bet.
Okay, my safe bet is Lazio Udinese over 2.5 goals. 180. Very good odds. I think for a game, for 2 teams that score a lot, Lazio, a lot of goals at home. Last season, remember, finished 4-4 at the Olympico.
Okay, goals galore at the Olympico. And your ACCA, Danny?
Torino Juventus, double chance, 1x. Salernitana, Asian handicap, +2 against Inter. Napoli, Bologna, over 2.5 goals. Milan to win at Verona, and the total odds is 7. I don't know if we got the screen to show it or not, but anyway, otherwise I just gonna here we go. Here we go. Here we go. I repeat again. Torino Juventus 1x, Salernitana Asian handicap +2. That means if they go to the San Siro and lose by 2 goals difference, you do not lose your money. Napoli Bologna over 2.5 goals. Milan to go to Verona. Verona's got a new manager and they are shambolic at the moment. Milan to win. Total odds, nice round number, 7.
All right, let me know, guys, if you like this ACCA, if you like Danny's tips. We are very close to 11K subscribers, so we have also many comments here. Don't forget to press the like and click on subscribe if you enjoy our videos. A lot of stats, insightful info, and hopefully we give you a hand to make some money in sports betting. It's tough. Some people are telling us that they had a bad week in Champions League with so many surprises. But let's try to be optimistic with this weekend, Danny, in Serie A.
As I always say, use your knowledge, use your instinct. We only give you some tips, some indications. If you think our odds are too high, lower it down a little bit, or maybe give it a pass. Always use your knowledge. Don't take awards as the truth. There are many combinations, many markets on Oddspedia. You just have to find the one that is right for you, or don't bet and enjoy the game.
Indeed. Danny, thank you. See you next week.
See you later.